Miller.
Hello guys. It's been a while since I made my last video. Right now I'm playing only Armored Warfare's public test servers, and I just needed to make a video about this vehicle. It's just completely hilarious. So right now, this vehicle has 23,000 DPM. Basically what they've done, they've made all the autocannons fire continuously. They've kept the damage per shot from the last iteration of the PTS, but they've set the rate of fire from 100 to 200 rounds per minute, and I don't quite get it why. Honestly, I believe that's a mistake, because even the sound of its gun is bugged. It's like you can hear the boom for every second shot. And right now its raw DPM is more than 2 times greater than of any other vehicle that was ever in the game, including the PTS. So when we compare its stats here and on the live server, first we can see that now it deals 2 times less damage per shot, but it fires almost 3 times as fast, and also without any pause for reloading. Also now it has 2 times more hit points than on the live server, similarly as all the other lower tier vehicles in the game. Another noticeable change is its mobility. It got noticeably slower, especially considering that you don't have that power boost ability anymore. So yeah, as you probably know, all the light tanks now have the AFV's ability to designate the target, instead of that power boost that it has now on the live server. And then look at its camo rating. As all the light tanks in the PTS, it got a huge boost to its camo rating. And the light tanks actually have the best camo in the game on average now, which is just retarded in my opinion. I mean, some light tanks have equal or even better camo than VBL or Weasel. On top of that, they don't get penalty to their camo while moving at all. And beside that, they have great view range and much better reload times than MBTs, and I don't know, I guess that's actually the only way they can make, for example, an M8 tank, which is 20 years old project which turned out to be a complete fail. It never entered service, and they made it the same tier as today's most modern and expensive main battle tanks, such as Leopard 2A6 or T90MS. Okay, moving on with Begleit, you can also see, as I mentioned, that it got a big boost to its view range. So combine this with the excellent camo and you can conclude that Begleit now can very well fulfill the role of the spotter too, aside from being an insane damage dealer. The gun depression stayed the same, its accuracy is also pretty much the same. Comparing to this setup I have on the live server. By the way, I have 4th level crew on it and an energy drink, which means that its base accuracy is actually much better now on the PTS, but you have absolutely no ways of increasing it anymore. And then the aim time. So basically what they've done, they've made all the autocannons fire without reloading at all, but they've limited your continuous fire accuracy by increasing the aim time to some ridiculous values. For example, here Begleit has over 7 seconds aim time when in stock. And in my opinion that's again not very smart, because you're also required to wait for several seconds before firing after any movement if you want some decent accuracy, even if you didn't fire at all. What they should have done instead is just to increase the firing boom the increment of the reticle after each shot. Also, what you don't see here, Begleit got much thinner frontal armor. Right now almost any gun can pen you through the upper plate, which in the live server bounces pretty much any autocannon shell. And lastly, in the PTS, Begleit gets full damage through its unmanned turret. Same as every other vehicle in the game, including T-15 and the Terminators. And again, I don't really understand what was the developer's logic behind that change. I bet they're just thinking like, fuck everything, let's just make it like World of Tanks. But anyway, let me show you finally some gameplay. So this is the proving ground at the Russian PTS. Because in the EU PTS you can't enter this mode. So right now you can see that it's actually much slower on acceleration. It steers much more slowly and turret traverse is just so slow. When you're traversing with hull, you can see that, yeah, turret traverse is actually slower than the hull traverse. And you can see that the reticle on the movies is quite big. And the aim time is just... it's like on the artillery in World of Tanks. And when you start firing, you see the rate of fire is 200 rounds per minute. You can see it, you can hear the boom every second shot. And when you fire the 48 rounds, it just reloads instantly. What's happened there? Was it my bullet that hits the ground? Maybe. And you see, the reticle is huge. And it's actually pretty hard to target anything. But when you do target, see, here we have an MBT which doesn't have too great weak spots. You just lock on it and yeah, that was it. Scorpion, you just lock, fire for several seconds and they're gone. So, and there is no reload time. And you can easily engage multiple vehicles and finish them all. Just one after another. It's just hilarious. It feels a little bit like drumming a T-15 or a crab. The only difference is that this thing just doesn't need a reload and it's a tier 5 weapon. And what's even more hilarious, you can penetrate, for example, T-80 frontally. It's only... yeah, it doesn't even pay off to wait for the reticle to decrease. You can just keep on firing. Okay, frontally. But that's what I found out while playing it. The aim time is just so horrendous, while its rate of fire is just so big. It just doesn't pay off to wait for the reticle to fully aim. How you play it, you just charge into enemies. You can pretty much destroy any vehicle in 4 to 5 seconds. Maybe it's not such a good idea to charge into MBTs. You still have rockets, which are pretty decent. Also, you need to stop completely and boom. but the autocannon is just way more destructive. It's just ridiculous. Okay, here is some PvP action. Here I spotted Stingray and I just couldn't inflict much damage from this distance. But when I got to his back, 3 seconds of fire and he's gone. So here I got one-on-one fight with another Begleit. I started firing first. He's trying to run away, or I don't know. And here I tracked him, he couldn't lower his gun and he's gone. So this is another one-on-one game versus Begleit. I think it was the same guy and I outfighting him again and I think he just gave up. And again in some 4 seconds he lost all of his hit points. So this game I had one-on-one versus VBL at tier 5. He came a little bit too close, I don't know what he was thinking. And again, he goes from full to 0 HP in some 3 to 4 seconds. So here we are in a custom match. I wanted to try one-on-one combat with BMP2, which is I think the strongest vehicle with autocannon as tier 5 aside from Begleit. So we decided just to position ourselves side by side and to test just the raw power of the vehicles. And look at that. I ended up with 1334 HP. Basically I lost only a third of my HP. So I could take on 2 BMPs too and win, I guess. So here my friend took Sphinx and we just locked and engaged frontally. And every shot goes through. This is even more decisive victory. Yeah, he actually bounced so many shots on my upper plate. And I lost less than 200 hit points. How ridiculous is that? So here we tested it against T15. And you have absolutely no place to pen it frontally. So we made the test similarly as we did with BMP2. And when you aim on the side, there is actually a place where you can pen it with every shot. It's showing green. And it's actually pretty small, it's only that rubber line. And we decided just to start firing and see who dies first. It turns out Begleit is victorious again. And again by a far. I lost barely above half of my hit points. But in any real combat situation where T15 is moving, I would have really little chances of defeating him. And the last vehicle we tried against Begleit is T80, which is in my opinion the best tier 5 MBT at the moment. Personally I believe it doesn't even belong to tier 5. And here you can see that it has that Commander's Hatch weak spot which is completely green, but it deals only very little damage. I think it's only 10% of the full damage potential when firing AP. And again you see that weak spot on the lower plate which is completely green. And here we tried just to fire at each other frontally without moving to see who will die first. Here I tried to fire more slowly to maintain the accuracy. And my friend fired AP. He would deal more damage if he was firing heat, for example. But again Begleit won decisively. And in the end we tried a real close combat scenario, like we would play in a normal PvP game, for example. So I spot him, I fire a rocket, but I miss, because rockets are so hard to maneuver in the PTS. Throw smoke, repair my engine, and then he rams me unfortunately for over 600 hit points and he tracks me. And I spent my repair kit on repairing the engine. and there wasn't much I can do anymore. But if I've managed to track him instead, the result could have very easily been completely different. You have such a great rate of fire, you can keep your enemies just permanently tracked. And then you can just circle them, and as you saw, Begleit can pen TAT from any direction. So that's all I wanted to show you in this video. I hope you found it interesting and fun. Let me know what you think about this version of Begleit, and let my com know your opinions. Just post your feedback on the forums. They do listen to our feedback, but only if they see that a lot of people think the same. And now we have a unique opportunity to influence this game. We should really try to use it. So that's all. Take care and see you next time.